All right, so today we are going to be focusing on inserting symbols in the form of blocks. So we don't call them symbols really, we really call them blocks. Anything that you need to insert in a repetitive manner rather than drawing it in place, the idea is to work with something which is called a block. Now the software comes with quite a few of them. However, we are going to be looking at how you create your own blocks after we learn how to insert the ones that come with the software. So we are going to begin with the door, which is the first one to start with. We're going to be inserting the door from a place that is called tool palette that looks like this on the screen. Now, tool palette was introduced in the 2006 version of the software. Prior to that, the only blocks that existed came from another location called Design Center. Now I will start with the 2006 upward version, which is the tool palette, and then afterwards I will go over into the other blocks that existed before, right? So to launch your tool palette, your shortcut would be TP, or you could have gone to a tab on the screen, which is called the View tab, and then you could go to the Palettes panel, and then you see an icon called Tool Palette. But the shortcut for it is TP, or you could use a combination of Control number 3. So Control 3 or TP is okay. So let me just go to the screen and demonstrate that. All right, so I'm going to share the AutoCAD drawing screen with you now. Okay. All right, the screen must have been closed. Let me just double check. Yes, it was closed. And because I'm installing the software at the same time, sometimes you can't install while have the software open. So the software was closed. So in the meantime, I will open it, reopen it. While it is being opening, I'll continue to say what we need to do. All right, it's almost there. All right, so to launch the tool palette, as we said earlier, you could either go to the View tab on the ribbon, and there's a panel called Palettes, and the very first icon on that is called Tool Palette. That's if you want to use the mouse. If you want to type using the keyboard, you have one of two options. TP, you press enter and wait, and the tool palette will come up. Which looks like this. And because it is on, you will notice that it's now highlighted on the palettes panel. So I could either close it by either clicking on the same icon, or I could close it by clicking this X top right of the palette right now. Or another way to launch it is holding down the control key and then press number 3. So control 3. Now your palette is like a ribbon, and at the side of it, it has these tabs, just like how the ribbon up here has the tabs at the top. The palette has the tabs at the side. Now, if you look at the top, you will notice it says Imperial Sample, and coming further down, it says Metric Sample. Or it doesn't matter which of the tabs you're in, but the focus this time will be on the Architectural tab. So I'm going to be clicking on the Architectural tab where I'll see some symbol. So because we are drawing in metric, of course, it is going to be the door metric. So there's a scroll bar at the side here. You can either scroll the wheel up and down to scroll, or you can drag this slider bar here. Now, the very first one says door metric, but all the symbols, if you look at them, they have this kind of symbol effect of a lightning bolt symbol. So whenever you see this lightning bolt symbol beside a particular block, you know that it is a dynamic block. So when something is dynamic, you know that it is flexible. It can change. It's not static. And we are going to see the dynamism, there's such a word, of these objects. All right. So what I have done is to make life easy for you by giving some steps as to how you use these blocks. So I'm going to walk you through the steps in the presentation, and then I'll come back and then demonstrate the steps. So the next slide basically tells you what you need to do first when you bring in the block, the dynamic block. First, we would need to align it, which means that it already has a feature called rotate built into it. So when you use the alignment option, just align it to follow the direction of the wall. So you don't have to rotate it separate. After you align it, then the next step would be to flip it in place. So you can actually have the door opening on the right hand side or the left hand side. In this case, it's a right hung door. The hinge is on the right hand side. And if you click on this little flip grip here, it flips it over on the other side. When it comes out, it will not be in this orientation. It will be on the other side. And you can flip it in or out as well by using the other grip if you want to open it inside or outside. Then you also have the option to scale it. Now the door comes in standard size, metric and imperial. So there's a grip on the side here. If you click on it, it will show you the different increments of size, and you can pull it to the size that you want. And afterwards, you will move it in place. There's a reason why I use the move last, because when you try to put it in place initially, you're going to notice that it keeps flipping in different direction because it's trying to align to the different direction of the lines. So I usually recommend that we do the move in last and do not align it in place. So we're not going to insert it in place initially. So in the meantime, I will return to the drawing, and we are going to be demonstrating these steps now. All right. So to begin, we will click on the door, which is called door metric. Remember, we're in the door layer from last week. So when we insert the door, it will automatically take on the properties of that layer, meaning color, line type, line weight, all the different things. So of course, you click on door metric. Notice when it comes out on your cursor, you will see it is actually on the left side as if it's a left hung door. No problem. The reason why I'm not going to try to put it in place is because when you try to put it there, it starts to flip all over the place. Why? It's trying to align itself on the vertical, and it's also trying to align itself on the horizontal. So when it's time to put on a vertical surface, we will just be able to do that quite easily. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to put it down because the 4-step plan that I showed you earlier makes life easy for you to be able to insert it. So all we need to do is just click it to put it down somewhere. It's already aligned, meaning it's horizontal already, just like how the wall is, so we don't have to rotate it. Now, step two would be to flip it. Of course, it's not a left hung door, it's a right hung door. And if you want to know which hung door it is, when you're entering the space, if the door is hinged on the left, it's a left hung door. If it's hinged on the right, then it's a right hung door. Now, our door, the hinge is on the right hand side. So the first thing we're going to do is to flip it. So once you click on that block, you will recognize that some control grips start showing. This one is if you want to open the door on the outside or the inside. The other one is if you want to be a left hung or a right hung door. Notice it flips it on the left, flips it on the right. So we're going to leave it on the right hand side. It's a right hung door. Then we also have the option to scale it, the one on the arc right here. So if you click on it, you notice you get those sets of increments that you can stretch it to. So you can get it to as small as a 600 door, it's approximately 2 feet, to as far as 1,000. Now in our case, we want our door to be 900. So the opening was 976, but you have to remember that the door frame on either side is 38 and 38. So the difference between 976 is 976 and the 76 would be 900. So the door frame on either side is 76, 38, and 38. So we leave now left with a space of 900. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to introduce you to, and that is the ability to change its visibility. So this one at the top here allows for one to open the door at different angles. Currently, it is open at 30 degrees, but it can be opened at 45, can be opened at 60, can be open at 90 degrees. You can even close the door. However, that would not be a good idea because you can't tell if it's a left hung or a right hung. So of course, I would recommend that you decide which angle and you be consistent about it. If you're gonna use 30, just use 30 all the way. Makes no sense you open some door at 30, some at 90, that's confusion. Just stick to an angle and just be consistent about it. What this one will do is if you have other size door frame, then you'll be able to open it. You'll be able to put it against different size door frame. Ours is 100, so we don't need to change the size of it because our door frame is already 100. So the last step basically would be then to move it in place. So because it is selected already, then all I need to do is launch the move command, which is M for move, enter, and then the best place to hold it would be right where the hinge would be. The hinge of the door would be right where that vertical line intersect with the end of the door there. So if I were to click it and then pull it and place it at the end point of that line, my door will perfectly be in place right now. Okay? Everybody following so far? Are we okay with that? You can indicate by raising hand, saying yes, whatever. All right, so two persons have said yes. All right, great. So we can move on. All right, what I'm going to do now is to insert another door that is not going to be horizontal. And you will recognize that the same steps will follow. So I will proceed to do so for the bedroom door. Still a right hung door because if I'm entering that space, you're going to realize that the door is hinged on the right hand side. Okay, so again, my first step will be to align it. So I click on the door metric. Now because the door comes out horizontal, I would not put it down right now. I would try to get it aligned. Now if I go from right to left on a vertical line, it will automatically align itself. And notice the swing is on the opposite side. But if I go from right to left, it aligns down and the swing is on the other side. So because I know that my door is going to be basically swinging, the swing is going to be at the top, I'm going to align it up. And then no, that's not an issue. Remember, we can always move it. So don't worry about it being on the line. Step one was to align it. Step two is to flip it. So we can do that. So of course, I would want to flip it on the other side by clicking on this, and there it is in place. Now, step three is to scale it, but guess what? It's already the size it is supposed to be, 750. So we can move straight to step four, which is to move it. So since it is already selected, just launch my move command, M, enter, and then hold it at the base point, which is always where the hinge would be, with your endpoint O snap, and then we proceed to put it right on the door frame at the endpoint there. Perfect. All right, so one door is inserted horizontal, another is inserted vertical. However, the other doors that are needed, except this one, we will leave this one for later, the closet door, the other doors are in the same orientation as the first one. So rather than inserting them one by one, I could copy this one by selecting it, launch the copy command, and then come down here, hold it at the base point, same place where the hinge of the door would be, and then take it to the bathroom on the door frame and then place it right there. It's the same right hung door. We will come back afterwards and resize it. Since we are still in the copy mode, I would prefer to paste it first and then come back to resize. So if you go to the back door, you will realize that the back door and the front door is the same size. So once you place it in place, no need to do any further work. It is a right hung, sorry, it's a left hung door. When you're coming into the kitchen, it's on the left hand side and it opens outside, so we can leave it right there. Press escape. Then I'm going to go back for the bathroom door and resize it. So since it is already in place, all I need to do is select it and click on the grip, which is on the arc, and stretch it back, pull it back in place. Good. And then press escape to let go of the grips. Not enter, because if erase was your last command and you press enter, it's going to repeat it and erase the door. So you press escape to let go. And that would conclude the doors for now. We have another door to put in, but it's not available on the tool palette, so it makes no sense I go into that one. So my next item that I'm going to be focusing on will be the toilet. All right, so let's go back to the lecture notes. So on that, we're going to see a similar sequence coming up, right? So here we have the door in place, and it's time now to put the toilet. So the next slide will show you the sequence. When the toilet comes out, it is going to be in elevation, front elevation. But again, because it's a dynamic block, we can easily change the visibility of it by clicking on the down arrow, and it will be able to show us several orientation of it with different designs, and we will change it to the top or plan view, and then we can align it in place, right? So we're going to insert it, change the view, then align it. That's the procedure. So let's go back to the drawing. Let's go back to the drawing where we will be able to see that in demonstration. All right. So before I insert the fixture, however, I want to be mindful of my layer management skills. So if I want to put the fixture, the toilet in the fixtures layer. So I'm going to set the fixtures layer current so that I'll be able to insert it accordingly. And yes, if I had inserted in the incorrect layer, I could always select it. And if it's in the wrong layer, I could always go up here and make a change. So if the door was the wrong layer, notice it's in fixtures layer now. I could easily select it and then go back up there and change the layer back to door. And I'll show you other ways of doing same later on. All right, so if you notice, the tool palette has the option for toilet metric. So if I click on toilet metric, it comes out, but you're going to notice that it comes out in the incorrect orientation. No problem. So we're just going to insert it down somewhere inside the space. Then when we select it, there is our icon to change its visibility. So when I click on it, it reports that there are different orientation. There's a plan view, which we can get. There's a side view, and this is the elongated version of it. You also have the rounded one, which is much shorter, and you have the side view of it, and there's also the front view of it. You also have the chain, the pull chain. This was the side of the other. And you have the pull chain one. I don't know if you are familiar with that toilet. It's an antique version of the toilet, which I'm not sure if any still exists in Jamaica, but back in the days, that used to be one of the toilet fixtures. It's an antique one now, so it will be very expensive. So in our case, we are going to be using the elongated plan. All right. Now, if I hold it on the alignment grip, again, it is very sensitive. So if you go from right to left, it aligns itself like that. And if you come down on the horizontal line, it aligns itself up. So there's no need to waste time rotate. So if your nearest O stop is on, you can put it against the wall like that and bring it down. Now, of course, you wouldn't bring it down until it touch like that, because you will not be able to sit on it properly unless you put it sit sideways. And of course, even if you do that, the plumber knows the standard to know that it should be a certain distance from the corner. So of course, we just put it there, not necessarily the exact position, just to indicate that it should be there, and the plumber will do the job later on. So that is where the toilet fixture will go. All right. Now we are going to have to give the bathroom area a break for a while, because the other fixtures that we intend to put in are not located on this palette. So we are going to close this palette and return to it later on when we need other things. But just to let you know a few things about the palette, it can be rolled up. So if you want to not close it while using it, you can click on this double-headed arrow and it rolls up, or auto hide. And when you're ready for another symbol, you can just hover over it, give it a couple seconds, and it just come up, and you click. And if you wanted something, let's say the toilet again, you click. Once you come off it and wait a couple seconds, it rolls up, and you do what you want to do, and you keep interacting. So you don't have to keep closing and reopening the palette. You can just auto hide it. All right. So let me escape because I don't need any more for now. All right, and I'm gonna close the palette right now. So the other symbols we're going to be working with come from somewhere else, but I'm going to start with the kitchen area first and then come back to the bathroom. So I'm going to zoom into this area. All right, let me go to the share screen with the presentation again, where we can look at what we're doing. All right, just an feedback. Are there persons who have any question about what we just did? Or if you're okay, just let me know. You can show your hands, you can write a question in the chat or say something. Just want to make sure that I'm not doing this and nobody understand what's happening. So everybody, are we okay? Okay. Persons raising their hands, persons saying yes. People say yes, they are okay. All right, Mario and Black and everybody. Good. So we are going to move on in the kitchen area. So in the kitchen, we are going to have lower cabinets or counter, which will be on the floor. We're going to have some overhead cabinets, and inside the counter on the floor, we're going to have a kitchen sink, and we're going to have to the right a stove, which is called range oven in the software, and to the left of the layout, we're going to have the refrigerator. So in plan view, it looks something more like this. However, we are going to have to put in the cupboard first. Now, these are not blocks, so you won't be able to just insert them. What you can insert would be the fixtures. So your sink, the refrigerator, and the stove. We'll be able to insert those. But before we do that, we're going to create this space for it. So we want to create the cupboard, the lower cupboard, and the upper cupboard. Let's start with the lower cupboard. Now, at this time, we're going to look at how you can literally offset from one layer into another. All this time we have been offsetting. We've been offsetting wall layer into wall layer. So we offset a white line and we get a white line. Now this time around, we will look at how you can offset a white line, which is the color of our wall layer, into a red line, which is the color of our fixtures layer. Notice when we insert the toilet just now, it took on the properties of the layer for fixtures. So the color was actually red. So we're going to look at how you can do that. Now, the distance that we're going to be working with for our cupboard is 700 millimeters. And cupboard, again, the width of the cupboards are standard width. The length, there's no determination. The length is based on the availability of space. So this length could be whatever you need it to be. But we are going to stop it basically about midway up this wall and stop it where the end of this window is. So the procedure to offset from one layer into another, and I've written down the procedure here, and that is O for offset, enter, then L for layer under offset, enter. Then C for current under layer, enter. Then you follow with your distance. The distance is 700, so 7 and enter. So I just have it written right here. We have 10 minutes countdown right now. So it's OLC. O enter, L enter, C enter, 700 enter. Okay, so let's do that in demonstration. So I'm going back to my shared screen and we are going to see how that is done. All right, so we're going to be using that O enter, L enter, C enter many times. All right, so I'm going to offset this line over here and this one. I'm not going to offset all lines. I'll quickly clean up. All right, so it is O for offset. My layer is already current for fixture, so I'm offsetting from one layer into another. So I'm offsetting in my current layer. So because of that, now I need to do L for layer. So L, enter, and then now we need to do C for current, or you could just click it right here. And then the distance is 700, 700, enter. Now, once I click on the wall, which is the source object, and pull in the direction that I want it, I just need to click. Notice the line is not white, but red. Likewise, I'll do the same thing. I'll click on this line, pull in this direction, and click. No need to press enter. You only press enter when you type the distance. And the distance was already there, so we do not need to press enter. We just click it in place. All right. Now I'm going to escape for the time being and then kind of tidy up where I want the cupboard to terminate first. So I'll use the line command. And this time around, I'm going to draw the line from midpoint of this wall. So if my midpoint O snap is on, I could just click here and come down and either click perpendicular or midpoint to terminate. Press escape. Then around here, launch back the command, the line command. And I'm going to start from endpoint around here. Of course, my ortho needs to be on now so I can get a horizontal line. And the distance is 700. Enter and enter again, or escape to end the command. All right, so I'm going to clean up now by using the fillet. Much faster than the trim. So we use the fillet. So we don't have to extend, we just use the fillet. So it's F, enter, and my current radius is 0. So I could go and just work with M for multiple and go with this one here and there. Those two lines need to terminate there, so I click those two. And then this line along with below, not above, or it will fillet up. We want it to fillet down. And then these two over here, so it's this one and that one. And that now takes care of the lower cabinet. The upper cabinet now, the overhead one, approximate distance from the wall is 300, which is about 1 foot, 12 inches. So it will be O enter, no need to go through the L enter, C enter again, because as long as you're in the same session, it remembers all of those settings. And if you look down here in the command line, you can tell that that is still the current option. So if I go with 300, which is the distance, I can just offset this line in this direction. I'm going to also do the same over here because I have cabinets on either side of the window and on this side as well, only on one side. Then we need to terminate. Let me zoom in a little so we can see it a little clearer. Now, it would be wise to kind of give some space off the window for our cupboard so that when you're putting up your curtain rods, you don't have to be fighting for space. So the best thing to do is to shrink the line. So I'm going to hot grip the line, and with the nearest O snap on, I can pull back on the line and type 150. 150 is approximately 6 inches. So I'm actually shrinking the line so that I have some room for my curtain rod along here. And let me go over here, do the same thing. Select the end of that line, hot grip it by clicking it. Keep the ortho on so it maintains the plane. Pull back on the line and type 150. So we are literally shrinking the line by 6 inches, which is 150 in metric. Likewise, I'm doing the same thing on this side, clicking on the line, hot grip, pull back on the line, and type the distance 150, and so now we have some room for the curtain rod. So I'll terminate those lines by drawing from endpoint to perpendicular with the line command. So L, enter, from endpoint to perpendicular. So that O snap is already on. I don't have to type the distance. And likewise here, from endpoint to perpendicular, enter, and enter to start back the command. Same thing around here, from endpoint to perpendicular on the inside face of the wall, escape. And then now we can use the trim command to clean up. If I use fillet, I will only be able to use it for this corner, but I cannot use it for this corner because I'm going to lose some lines. So in this case, I take a decision to go with trim, which is more efficient. So TR, which is the shortcut for the command, enter. And if we press enter one more time, then we will basically be selecting all lines, which is what I want. So I'm going to press enter one more time. And then I'll be able to trim off this side and then trim off that part and that part. Then enter. So we have now prepared the space for our kitchen counter or cupboard. Then let me save. So it's time now to start inserting those symbols. The sink, I'm going to put in this space. The stove over here and the refrigerator. So I'll just talk about that while the 3 minutes that we have left. And then after the reconnection, I will introduce where those other blocks come from. And we will start inserting. So we're going to talk about where it's coming from, which is the design center. And then after which we're going to be putting them in place. So we're going to put the range oven here. No need to rotate it. It comes out at 0, so we can put it here. This one likewise will be at 0. However, on this side of the cupboard where the window is, we're going to be putting the refrigerator. It's kind of giving a 3D effect. So the cupboard here, and the thing is to the side of it. Likewise, this is where the counter is, and then this is to the side of it, and this is our face basin that will go inside the bathroom later on. All right, so we're going to focus on these 3 things: the stove, the refrigerator, and the sink. Now we're going to have to rotate the refrigerator. These blocks are not dynamic blocks, so they will not give us the ability to just align them to the surface like we did with the previous ones. So we have to learn how to rotate these blocks, right? Whether before we start the inserting or while we're inserting, we can still do it. Okay, so let me go back to the previous slide and I will start talking about the design center. So the design center was initially in the software from before 2006 version, and this is basically from the inception of the Windows version, release 13. It was introduced in the software, and ever since they are in the software, still is. And I have no doubt that the 2021 that I downloaded today, I think the installation is now complete. The design center will still be in it. I'll actually check it after the download, after the time expire, to see a few things. But we need to know how to navigate our way to the design center. So this is a palette just like the other one, but it's not the tool palette. It's called design center. And at the bottom of it, you'll notice I have what is called the file path. Now, every file has 3 parts, P-A-R-T-S. And the first part is what we call the drive reference or the root. And then all the folders that we need to open to get to the file, we call that the folder reference. And then we finally get to the last folder where the file is. In this case here, we're going to go into a file called kitchen. Notice the file extension is .dwg. So the last part is the file reference. So we have the drive reference, folder reference, file reference. So I'll be taking you through after the break from the disconnection. All right. So let me end the recording at this time and then we wait.